Hello, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thank you, everyone, for coming to our first opening of the 2025-2026 Cuesta College exhibition season, which is what I like to call it. This show every year is really exciting because it's our first chance to have an opening on campus with the students back. And it's our first chance to bring in an artist to introduce the students to someone who they may not have ever even thought about work even being able to exist that way. And it's my pleasure to introduce everyone to Sungwon Yoon tonight. The Harold J. Miossi Art Gallery prides itself on being able to bring in artists from outside of the area and to enrich the culture here and to help move things along in the right direction with bringing in diverse, interesting, challenging, and unique artwork. So Sungwon Yoon is a visual artist living in New York City. Sungwon was born in Seoul, South Korea in 1977. After completing her bachelor's and master's in fine art in painting in 2000 and 2003 in Korea, she came to the U.S. and earned her second Master's of Fine Arts degree from the School of Museum of Fine Arts in Boston in 2010. She's had 11 solo exhibitions and participated in numerous group exhibitions since 1999. Her recent solo exhibitions include Howard Yurtsky Gallery in Boston in 2021, Helen J. Gallery in Los Angeles in 2021, and the Narthex Gallery in St. Peter's Church in New York City in 2019. She has a solo exhibition coming up at the Anderson Yurtsky Gallery in 2026. Mm-hmm. She has been the recipient of several awards, including the Traveling Scholarship from the School of Museum of Fine Arts of Boston in 2012, as well as the Cash Prize in Photography in 2010. She was awarded a Artist in Residency Fellowship from Playa in 2017 and Cooper Union School of the Arts in 2015. Sungwon's work, since I have known her for the past 15 years, has evolved immensely. It is envious. I'm envious to see an artist who has been able to approach her practice as something that is meant to grow and change and become a true expression of a human's experience. This work that we're showing now is a snapshot of, I would say, the past 10 years of Sungwon's progress within her studio. It's deeply personal, it's immensely interesting, and it encourages us all to sit and be calm and have a chance to look inward. And without further ado, here's Sungwon Yoon.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, everyone, for coming to my talk. First, I would like to thank Tim for the invitations. It's my great pleasure to share my works with you. So in this talk, I will walk you through the process, how I have developed my works from finding organic shapes to abstract representations of my inner space. So the titles may not make a big sense now, but you will see what they mean as we go along. So when I was a college student, I was very interested in feminine images. At first, I began studying organic shapes, which convey feminine characteristics. So I grew plants from seeds in clear glass containers and recorded my observations in a journal. These are from my old records dating back to my junior year at college. So I recorded the changes of the plants, every biological details, such as the movement and formation of roots, development of stems and leaves, and eventually the death. So I made an installation work out of my records as shown in this photo. So I started using the title, Congeries of Time. On one hand, I was collecting snapshots at different stages of a life. When we look at each one of these drawings separately, they are homogeneous. On the other hand, when installed as a collection, these heterogeneous memories become inseparable. This is another installation in my senior year at college. So the records were displayed with the plants at different life stages. Closely working with the plants, I was fascinated by the life force behind the endless life cycle of plants. The continuous life cycle represents flow of time, yet it is timeless as it repeats countlessly. In my early works, I tried to represent the lifetime and timelessness from the detailed images of plants from my records. At this time, I became interested in biomorphic art and started working on transforming the shape of plants. I particularly focused on roots and their movements. These signify the essential life force. Through these organic shapes, I try to express the invisible, yet sensible, mysterious force, namely time flow. So this photo shows another drawings in the same series. So this is an installation view. You can see the size of the drawings. So this is a pile of paintings in my first solo exhibition in 2002 in Seoul, Korea. After working with the plant images for a while, I started abstracting organic shapes from the photographic images of plants to better represent the dynamism of life cycle. Here, I made a series of paintings. Individually, they are heterogeneous, but when presented together, they form a single body. The meanings of each heterogeneous painting are merged into a collective dynamism. So in this series of paintings, I first studied the images of plants to extract organic shapes and reconstruct them to find images of the circulation of life. So in this painting, I portrayed a plant deep in the water and its interaction with the light coming from outside. I first made a charcoal drawing and then painted on top of the drawing with oil painting. In these paintings, I first drew images of plants with charcoal and then used oil paint to represent its interaction with the light coming through a window. When I made this series of paintings, I tried to express the dynamism of evolutionary process by congeries of organic shapes. In these paintings, you can find small organic shapes that look like seeds, and the collection of these organic shapes become another organism. This painting was inspired by my trip to Monet's pond in Giverny, France. I abstracted a composition from the collective dynamism of water lilies, and used motifs from seeds. The background looks black, but it is a result of overlaying many layers of organic shapes. So this uses the same motif with the previous painting. I wanted to represent how the organic images are changed due to the different lighting conditions. This was my studio in 2001 in Seoul, Korea. You can see the drawings that became the motifs of some of my paintings. I painted oil color on top of these drawings. This is one of the paintings in my third Seoul exhibition in 2005 in Seoul, Korea. I became more interested in representing an organic shape by a collection of fractional organic shapes. This organism is created by a collection of many organic shapes. It is floating in air. The spiral represents flow of time, and I overlaid the images of bean sprouts from my record. This is another painting in the same series. So now you can see the leaves developed in the plant. This is the last one in the same series. So you can see the spiral shapes. And later, you can see another spiral organic shapes in my recent work. When I was a graduate student at the School of the Museum of Fine Art in Boston, I had a friend who was studying biology. One day, he showed me the images from his research. There are cells in human bones, and these are neurons in the brain of a mouse. I was fascinated by their interconnected structures and the delicate and complicated compositions. First, I started from a naive approach, trying to bridge the macroscopic world, which I worked earlier, to a microscopic world, which is invisible yet present. In these works, I used the compositions obtained from the cells and organic shapes from the plant and constructed a new life form. Okay. So far, I showed how my works evolved from a record of plants to abstract organic shapes. Now, let me show you my more recent works. This sculpture is from a tomb that was made in the early 6th century in China. It was being displayed at the Museum of Fine Art, Boston. I was fascinated when I found these images. The structure bears so rich history and memory, and the way it was shown seemed to create a dynamic trajectory that penetrates the past and the present. In this photograph, images and lines interrelate, expand, or overlap their own meanings. So from the top to the bottom, the images represent time flow from the past, the present, and the future. This is a close-up view of the first panel of the photograph. Here, you can find an electrical wire that seems to bridge the past and the current. So you can see the electrical wire in the bottom, in the floor. The contrast between faded world and remaining images represent the coexistence of two totally different worlds, and yet they share a commonality. This is one of the paintings in the beginning of new series. Now I became more interested in representing the accumulation of time and memory through the organic shapes. In these paintings, I create organism flooring in an emotional space. The emotional space is made by overlapping many layers of microorganisms. It represents endless cycle of life circulation. As the layers accumulate, the meaning of each layer emerges and finds a new integration. The organism portrayed as flooring in the universe creates a dynamic trajectory linking past, present, and future. This is a close-up view of the paintings. You can see how the organism is constructed by concatenating small organic shapes and how they interact with the background space. This is another painting in the series. You can find spiral patterns in the macroscopic images. Later, I found that this kind of spiral patterns repeatedly appear in my recent paintings. Here, you can again observe how the heterogeneous organic shapes in the microscale are merged to create macroscale organisms. In this painting, far away, you only see a blended homogeneous image that look like a static noise. This is a close-up view. Now, you beginning to see there are heterogeneous organisms that constitute the homogeneous whole. The size of each painting is 5 feet by 7 feet. Creating this painting were immersive and surrealistic experience. Creating these paintings, I obsessively and continuously repeated drawing microorganic shapes. While they look identical, every organic shape is unique and they never repeat. They are never exactly the same and never contain exactly the same memory. The repetitive process itself creates a dynamic trajectory. This is a close-up view. Each circle has its own memory that allows it to repeat itself. And for me, this memory mirrors the secret of eternal life through the repetition. Likewise, it is the repetition of memories passed down by ancestors from generation to generation. I went to Iceland for a photograph project in 2009, 2011, and 2017. In those trips, I was deeply inspired by the complex color compositions that naturally emerges as a result of millions of years of geological evolution. It was interesting to see how those different colors are integrated together. I wanted to convey such inspiration from the accumulation of time in geological process in my paintings. So I started experimenting with colors in my paintings. In this series of paintings, the monochromatic surface is created by overlaying many different color layers. This is a close-up view of the previous paintings. Close up, you can see small heterogeneous organic shapes with a range of different colors. I wanted to create two different scale dynamics in the same place. At a micro scale, you can see these individual microorganic shapes, and at a macro scale, these microorganisms are integrated into a homogeneous being and created a new dynamics. So this video shows how the image changes depending on the distance from the paintings. In this series of paintings, I started experimenting by contrasting colors to see how they can get homogenized. So this is in the same series with the previous painting. First, the background surface was made by green colors. Then I repeatedly overlaying green, yellow, and blue colors. In this close-up view, now you can see the microscopic images of the painting. I used a very tiny brush and painted countless many circles that interactive with the large images and create a depth. This is an exhibition view. I showed green and gray paintings together as they are similar but also create an interesting contrast. This is another painting in red. I tried to make a dynamic images that spread out to upper right corner. And this is a blue painting. In these paintings, I tried to capture the images of light scattered in deep ocean. The inspiration came from my experience in doing scuba diving. On the blue background, I used orange, yellow, and green colors. These colors are mixed together and create new colors that look like faint neon colors. In this close-up view, you can see again the wide color spectrum of microorganisms. This view is from my solo exhibition in Boston. I showed these two paintings together to contrast their images. In this painting, I wanted to create Indian yellow. Indian yellow represents life and fertility. These are repeating motifs in my paintings. In this close-up view, you can see how the Indian yellow is made by overlaying different colors in micro scale. In these paintings, the organic forms appear to form spiral, and all of them are moving in the same directions. The organic shapes are all different sizes, but moving under the same force. This is a close-up view of one of the largest spirals. These small organic shapes make a collective motion and form the largest spiral. This painting is inspired by the sunrise. Every New Year's Day, I go to the beach and record the sunrise. I was inspired by the energy and dynamism of sunrise. In this painting, the horizon is the diagonal direction, and organic shapes create a motion spreading out from the horizon. In this series of paintings, I experimented by directed contrasting paintings with different colors. This is one of the series that I experimented with color contrast, how the two tones communicate with each other and how they are integrated. This is my recent painting. Compared to the previous painting, the collective motion of microorganic shapes become more prominent. In this painting, you can see the micro-scale spiral that form a larger organism. In my recent paintings, these spirals started to appear as one of the main motifs. In these paintings, again, you see the spiral patterns. The spiral patterns started to appear more often since this painting. These patterns emerged subconsciously and became one of the main motifs. So this is a close-up view. Now you can clearly see the small-scale spirals. This is my latest painting. I completed this painting just a few weeks ago. In this video, you can see how the small-scale organic shapes interacted with large-scale images. Now, let me show you some of my drawings. My drawings represent the same continuous of time with my paintings. To represent the dynamism of organisms and accumulation of time, I make drawings in transparent paper and overlay them together. This technique creates another dimension in the two-dimensional media and creates a sense of time flow. Build up with 4 layers of transparent paper. My drawings enact the process of germination, propagation, and growth. Cross-cutting linear patterns provide a symmetric foundation for the cells. This is an installation view that had 2 drawings side by side. In these drawings, I started exploring different compositions. In the previous drawings, the organisms are unidirectional. In this drawing, I experimented how two diagonal lines in the opposite direction create dynamic trajectories. And I created organisms that move in both directions that represent flow of time. Here you can see the interaction between the organic shape and dynamic trajectories. This is a small size drawings. Recently, I started making small size drawings. The small size creates a more delicate space, and it feels more intimate and personal. This is another small size drawing. In this drawing, I experimented with symmetric images. Now these two organisms are separating the space in the diagonal directions. These two organisms look symmetric, yet they form a contrast by using different color compositions. These are close-up view of the organisms on the left and the right. You can see the contrast between them. After working on organ shapes for a while, I became more and more interested in geological objects, as they naturally reflect the congeries of time and memory. So I traveled to Iceland in 2009, 2011, and 2017 for photography projects. In these trips, I went to a very remote area called Isafjord. Here is a captor in the bottom, right, the left side, Reykjavik, and Isafjord is in this northwestern area. This is a very remote area, so you can see only 1 or 2 cars in an hour in their biggest highways. This film was taken on my way to Isafjord. And here is me sitting on the ice in the river. I took this video while driving to my destination. The most distinguishing geological feature of Western Iceland is the fjord, which is formed by the movement of glacier for over tens of thousands of years. The fjord of Iceland records a history of change, an accumulation of time, and a transformation that points both to the past and to the future. The images of these geological objects suggest a coexistence of two opposite states, a state of continuous evolution and a state of stillness or silence. This soul road that passes through the mountains creates a trajectory that connects the past and the present. I feel this photograph of geological process and the previous photograph of ancient Chinese tomb are the same, just two different representations of the same thing. This is another video for my next destinations. In this photograph, the mirroring surfaces offers a sense of serenity and timelessness that I seek to evoke in my painting. In these symmetric images, they are coexist two very different dynamisms. On one hand, there is a slow, almost stopped geological object. On the other hand, the reflection is on river that continuously flows. However, in these images, these two become indistinguishable and distinction fall away. Here is the series of photographs with the same mirroring surface. This image is actually a reflection on the river. I turned it upside down. Due to the symmetry, reflection becomes indistinguishable from the real object. It represents coexistence of time flow and timelessness. So this video is my last video to my last destinations. The complex geological process naturally makes these very interesting geometric structures. I was inspired by these geometric structures that represent the congeries of time. They appear often in my drawings. The subtle geometric images surrounded by fog represent the transition from the geological space into emotional space. This is an installation view in 2023. I was invited to have an exhibition in Japan. So this place is hundreds years old. It was used as a school for samurais. It was very interesting to see how the geological time and memory captured in the photographs interact with the space that endures hundreds years of time. The photographic images of time and the historical building creates a space which conveys both time and timelessness. Thank you everyone for your attention, and I'm very glad to share my artistic journey with you. And thank you again, Tim, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Try and use this again. Thank you, everyone. There. Thank you, everyone. So we have about 15 minutes for questions. If there's anybody who has questions out there, I'd love to take them. I'm going to stay up here with Sungwon in case she needs a little bit of micro translation to kind of help with some questions. But are there any questions out there for Sungwon? Yes.
Yeah, your paintings, they have this kind of molecular structure, and you're interested in time. It looks like they take a lot of time to create.
Mm-hmm.
How long does it take you to
Yeah,
create
depends.
your composition?
Yeah, how long it takes time. That
What's
depends.
your process?
You mean the painting, right?
Or the drawing, both?
Yeah, it depends on work, depends on type of media. So usually painting, I spend time for at least 1 month for about 30 by 30 inch, or more, maybe couple more, or maybe 6 weeks. But for the big painting, it's about 50 by 45 inches, like 2 months or 3 months. Yeah, but drawings, the big drawings it's about 20 by 30 inch size. It's like 6 weeks. Yeah, but depends on my feeling every day. Because when I'm working on the paintings, for example, I'm working with other different size of painting at the same time. So yeah.
Do you know what it's going to be, or does it evolve organically?
Oh, you mean before I start working on? Yeah, I draw roughly before I start for the work, for the painting or drawing. But when I start working on the painting and drawing, and it changes all the time for composition, direction, and also idea. But I like that. Yeah, I like I like to create my work depends on my emotions every time. Yeah, it's enough to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, in the back.
What do you hope people feel when they see your work, like the cosmic and the natural side of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now we missed many things. I wanted to capture every moment, even though we couldn't recognize what we feel, what we thought. But I really want to capture and to create some complex emotional space in our life, and they can be very universal and also what is important to being here, and also relationship with other people. Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
Thank
Very
you.
inspired. Very truthful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
What drew you to Iceland?
What drew to the Iceland?
What attracted you to Iceland?
The attract, right? This my most okay. When I was there, physically very hard, difficult, and cold. But inside of my body, emotionally, it's very full and warm. And I feel like I have everything. So even though I couldn't see, not clearly, in the landscape, but I feel very full of my life. Yeah. So I think of emptiness equal to fullness. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other question?
Julie.
I have one regarding color.
natural work to apply to this level of muted colors and intense colors. So obviously emotion is very important. When it comes down to the decision making on this last series, and obviously you go very intuitively depending on your emotions. You showed us your last painting. As a painter, I'm excited to see like what comes next. Obviously, for everyone, if that's the question. Where do you see your momentum moving with this body of work?
Oh,
You got it?
oh, little.
So
I couldn't hear that
he
much.
wants to know what's next.
What's next to my project?
Yeah, where is this body of work taking you for your next body of work?
Okay. Yeah, but thank you for your questions. Yeah, this is very important question to think about my work in the future. I want to go back to the small size to think about more color, maybe neon colors. I don't know. It's since the pandemics, I started interested about color, and after pandemic, I think I'm interested in more color, but neon color. How the neon color is comes together with natural color. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at them, and almost seem to be, are you like in a meditative state when you do it, just with a repetition? It seems that you are going inward or outward. When I look at them, it looks so much like a meditation behind closed eyelids. Is that
Yes.
meditate?
Yeah, very meditative, of course. Yeah, so, but physically very, very hard. And yeah, it's very hard. But when I start working on those kind of paintings, maybe in 2009, 2010, it was very hard to control my physical condition. But now I'm more comfortable, more relaxed to working with that paintings, and the physically is hard, difficult, and tired. But on the other hand, is emotionally is more relaxed. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very meditative during I'm working on the paintings. Yeah, even though I hear many noise in the outdoor and some ventilation in my studio, but I'm very full into my paintings. Yeah, it's like meditations.
Hmm?
Yeah.
There you go. Sungwon, earlier today, someone asked you if you listen to music while you make work. Someone asked you if you listen to music while you make work.
Oh, yes.
And you told them, what'd you tell them?
Yeah,
Tell us about
sometimes
the music.
I listen to music, but when I'm focusing on the work, I like to work without the music. But maybe but I like the repetitive sounds. Sounds, yeah.
So like the
Just
ventilation.
Ventilation, yeah. So it's more, I can focus more, yeah.
So when you're working, it's mainly just the ambient sound?
Yeah, silence, yeah. Yes.
Julie.
And I wanted to hear a little bit more about the physical process of making the work and how you protect your body from all that repetitive and over time. How do you take care of yourself?
Oh, myself.
Yeah, while you're making
because
the physical.
Physical?
Yeah. Do you work standing up, sitting down?
Yeah, both, yeah. But mostly Yes, yeah, both, yes. Mostly I'm standing down and yeah.
So I think she wants to know about, you said that as you started this work, it was hard physically to make it,
Yeah,
but now it's easier.
easier. Yeah.
What have you done that's made it easier to physically make the work?
Actually, physically very tired, but middle of my work, I think it's emotionally I'm very getting more comfortable. Yeah, so I think it's the physically still tired, getting more tired, but I think it's the emotion, my emotion is very help to my physical body.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you do exercises or to release the
Uh,
tension of,
yeah, just stretching and but I like to walk.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Any other questions? Great. Okay. Thanks, Sungwon. So I'm going to thank everybody. Let's give her a hand. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Sungwon Yoon. So I'm going to do my little closing speech here that I do every time. I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank Sungwon Yoon for coming to give us a talk about her amazing work. Inner Landscapes will be open through October 17th. I encourage you all to come and see it and come back and see it again. I believe these works take multiple visits to really open up. And as you stand in front of them, you start to experience and see more and more about the works. I would like to take this moment to thank Cuesta College for giving us the opportunity and giving us a home here, the Harold J. Miossi Trust for making everything the gallery does possible through their endowment. I would like to thank Magnolia Stork and Bo Brenham. They're the team behind the gallery that makes everything possible. And the fine art department here at Cuesta College that helps the whole process run and that helps to really house the gallery itself. This is going to be a very exciting year. I encourage you all to keep up to date with our calendar, and keep up to date with all the exhibitions and programming we have coming up here. I'd like to thank you all again. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you.